Did you know that a few months ago? There is a natural landscape that is fascinating internet users for its chilling characteristics and the terrible stories that are told about it. Are we in the presence of the most haunted place on the planet, as some suggest? Some places on the map have a reputation for being cursed. Many suggest avoiding these locations, while others are eager to visit and explore them. The mythical Skinwalker Ranch is one of those paranormal black holes. The same can be said about Cerro Uritorco in Argentina or La Aurora Estate in Uruguay. However, stories centered in other parts of the world have been gaining traction online for some time now. These stories did not take long to spread and find their echo, multiplying at the speed of light and revealing new and terrifying evidence. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. I can tell you now that what I'm going to tell you today is likely to test your ability to believe. Lost civilizations, unidentified flying object events, ghost towns with a mysterious past, ancestral beings with a craving for human flesh, strange creatures. All of this will be part of the journey we will take to reach the darkest parts of the Appalachian Mountains. If you're interested in this kind of content about, let's say, abandoned places or more paranormal things, not so much true crime, but more of this style. Do you like watching these types of videos? Write the word curse below and we'll make more videos on the subject. We've created others before, such as the ones about the agreement in Frenchy Island, for instance, and we've made I don't recall the details, but I know we've created multiple pieces about cursed locations in this format before. Ultimately, I'll let you watch and mention that this theme originated from TikTok. We noticed numerous videos discussing this topic on the platform. Therefore, at the end of this video, when the report is over, my report when I finish speaking, we are going to put several TikToks that talk about it. In case you didn't see them, in case you don't use the TikTok network, we are going to leave them there for you. Under the name of what? TikTok users are telling or giving accounts or recordings or videos or whatever. We'll leave them all at the end if you're interested in viewing it. Once the report is over, that starts. Now yes, let's get started. The Appalachian Mountains are not only recognized for their multiple trails available to walkers who love nature. It is well known that one can travel some of these paths and visualize dreamlike landscapes. But it is equally well known that they must be respected and not trusted. And it is in these mountains where the highest rate of disappearances related to natural spaces usually occurs. This is almost a statistical matter. On one hand, the Appalachian Mountains are really extensive. They are located on the east coast of the United States. They have more than 2,400 kilometers and cross states such as North Carolina, South Carolina, New York, Ohio, and Alabama. On the other hand, it is necessary to emphasize that the Appalachians are the oldest mountain range that exists on the continent. It is believed that their formation occurred when the plates that shape our map were not yet as we know them. The Appalachian Mountains formed before many living organisms became significant and were already immense, when the days lasted much less than they do today. In fact, it is believed that if they are not extremely high today, it is thanks to the wear and tear and erosion they have suffered over the centuries. The ancient Appalachians are covered with dense forests, rivers, streams, and lush vegetation. Its caves and hard soils made them unsuitable for human activities, and man chose not to hinder that ecosystem. It is therefore a place where nature is safe from the hands of civilization. A place with its own rules, where the night is completely dark and where it is impossible to venture without running the risk of ending up lost or dead. A place from which the whispers of predators emerge, but also of ancient stories. Without going any further, those who live near the Appalachians know that there are a series of rules that must be respected, especially when the evening falls. These are rules that can even be seen written on countless signs that always seem to be made by trembling and hurried people. They want to leave a reminder that things there are not as good as they may seem. Let's get to know the rules of the place, and I quote verbatim: if you heard someone shouting or saying your name, no, you didn't hear it. If you're feeling like someone is harassing or stalking you, don't run. Never whistle in the woods. If you heard something, no, you didn't hear it. If you saw something, no, you didn't see it. If something speaks to you, no, it's not speaking to you. And more than anything, don't go into the woods at night. Lock all the doors and windows at night, and never put a sign or a mat that says welcome at the door of your house. The Appalachian people have passed down these rules for generations to ensure peace and avoid dangerous wildlife encounters. But as you may notice, these rules also aim to warn about other presences. Presences linked to the mystical and paranormal world. There are plenty of stories from people who claim to have heard ghostly voices coming from the thickest parts of the Appalachians. Voices that sometimes seem to be asking for help and at other times seem to come straight from hell itself. Strange choruses and sharp laughter are also heard. Are these sounds? These are effective sounds made by animals and distorted by the paranoia of those who live there. Is that all? Or is there something else hiding in this totally wild space? Who is behind the trees? Do ancient myths about shapeshifters, sorcerers, and restless spirits hold any truth? Who howls from the depths of the caves? Some believe that the possible answers to this may be found in the folklore of the first peoples to occupy the region. Peoples like the Cherokee, who believed that a kind of giant capable of moving between dimensions lived in the Appalachian Mountains. A giant that would be related to a mysterious rock that to this day can still be visited and that raises various debates among historians. The one of the giant. In Jackson County and near the base of the Appalachian Mountains is the so-called Utakula Rock. Many have called it one of the greatest archaeological mysteries of North America and the world, and it's no exaggeration. If one walks around there and takes the right trails, they can reach a huge stone of 240 square meters. However, its size isn't what attracts so many visitors monthly. What keeps everyone staring at it for long hours is the number of figures carved into it. We're talking about more than 400 enigmatic drawings, some of them over 10,000 years old. What do these drawings mean? Is it some kind of text, a description, a map, or is it simply, what is the Utakula Rock? That's what archaeologists and the curious onlookers continue to ask. While speculations are made, both the simple spectators and the scholars agree on something. Perhaps the most striking image of the stone is one that seems to represent the imprint of a huge hand with 7 fingers. Whose hand does that belong to? The only ones who developed an answer for that were the aforementioned Cherokee. According to the legend that this tribe built around the stone, the signs of the Utakula Rock would have been written by a giant with slanted eyes who had 7 fingers on his hands. This enormous being would have been the owner of the mountains in a remote time. He was considered the great lord of the house and had an extra ability to control time, which allowed him to move between dimensions. It is also said that this giant took great leaps relying on the prominent relief of the region. In this way, he would have left his mark eternally on the famous rock, which is now included in the National Register of Historic Places. Many believe that the great lord of the house was a sort of deity created by the Cherokee within their vast spiritual world. Others believe that perhaps the giant was more real than many might suppose. There are not a few theories that say our planet was inhabited by giants in time immemorial. Was this giant the survivor of an already extinct civilization? Those who believe in this possibility add as proof the numerous testimonies of huge men that exist in the stories of dozens of indigenous peoples, many of them unconnected to each other. At the same time, other studies also revealed that not all the rock drawings were made in the same historical period. Some drawings are 10,000 years old, while others are only 3,000 years old. What knowledge was imprinted on this rock over time? Was it some kind of spatio-temporal meeting point, as the most extreme theories suggest? The truth is that, although the stone predates the Cherokee, this tribe immediately interpreted it as a sacred artifact, which is why they began to use its surroundings for multiple ceremonies and rituals. From the beginning, the vicinity of the stone enjoyed a curious reputation. It is said that there are lights or strange overlapping presences there, as if reality folded upon itself. At those coordinates, compasses also go crazy near the rock. But for this, there is a reasonable explanation according to the most skeptical, and that is that under the stone there are different minerals capable of altering the electromagnetic field. Whatever one chooses to believe, the fact is that rumors around this natural oddity continue to accumulate. According to an ancient tradition, there would be 2 other stones similar to those of Utakula, one that would have been a victim of the mining activities of the 20th century, and another that would still be hidden, deep in the Appalachians. Today there are many researchers with the project of carrying out excavations near the stone, convinced that it is likely that other ancient elements will appear. With the possibility of shedding some light on so much uncertainty, could it be possible that the answers are under the ground? Will we ever understand this stone's purpose? Could it be linked to the moon-eyed men as some suggest? Indeed, it is supposed that in the center of the Appalachians would be hidden some very particular men and women, belonging to an even more particular tribe. Let's delve a little into the Cherokee. While it is the most populous tribe in the United States, much is still unknown about them. It is not known exactly when they were in the Appalachians, whether they were always there or if they reached those places after successive migrations. What is known is that they were considered one of the 5 civilized tribes by the Europeans, who quickly set out to impose their customs on them. Indeed, the conquerors who first made contact with the Cherokee agreed that the men and women of the tribe were open to dialogue. This did not stop them from subjecting them to various abuses. Thus, the easy assimilation of the Cherokee into the culture of the white men continued to be unusual for many, who tried to explain it through another legend originating from the very core of this people. According to the Cherokee, they had already dealt with white men and therefore were not alarmed by the presence of the Europeans. They tell that at one point in their past they lived with men and women who were like them, but with excessively light skin, a quality that extended to their hair and even their eyes. They were short men and women, with a lot of land in their possession, and who only came out at night, which is why they had earned the nickname of the Moon-Eyed People. The Cherokee and these white men and women had lived in peace for a while, but then there had been confrontations and the Cherokee had forced them to go inland. In the deepest part of the forest, it is assumed they lived in the caves. All this history is on display today at the Cherokee County Historical Museum, after it was collected by researchers. But that would not be the only evidence of the existence of Luna's eyes. In the same museum there is a statue that was found by chance at the confluence of the Valley and Hiwassee rivers at the beginning of the 19th century. The statue itself measures just under a meter and weighs more than 130 kilograms. And according to many, it is a representation of that civilization of small white men. It appears prior to the Cherokee, and there are no specific features of any other known tribe in it. Did the men with moon eyes exist, or were they just a legend? Is this civilization still hidden in the cavernous tunnels of the region? Perhaps that noise that is often heard at night in the Appalachian forests is related to them. Some believe that the people of Moon Eyes were actually descendants of a small group of Welsh who arrived in America long before the Spanish. And they settled in the Smoky Mountains around 1170. Others believe it could have been a group of albino people. For now, the answers are glaringly absent. What abounds are possibilities, because even some have suggested that the moon-eyed people were actually beings from another planet or another plane. Beings that would have arrived in unidentified flying objects. And as you can imagine, in the Appalachian Mountains, these stories about lights in the sky are not lacking. Brown Mountain is a low ridge about 1.5 miles long in the Pisgah National Forest in North Carolina. While the place has a great appeal for the view it offers, the truth is that many prefer to visit it at night, when everything is completely dark and only the twinkling stars can be seen in the sky. It is said that those who linger in the darkness can observe a phenomenon recorded in the area since the early 1900s. The first case talks about a fisherman who in 1913 was astounded to see some strange red lights moving at some imprecise point on the horizon. Many wanted to believe that the man was under the influence of alcohol or playing a joke on them. However, it wasn't many months until another person experienced something similar. The situation stopped being funny, and many began to look suspiciously at the mountains. What were those lights that appeared there? Could they be spaceships? Such a fuss had been made that in 1922, fearing that a bout of mass hysteria would break out, the United States Geological Society decided to intervene. After a few days set up with their equipment, they concluded that all the sightings could be simply explained. They were car headlights on distant roads. Everyone relaxed with this verdict, and the lights gradually lost their prominence. At least until 1916. That year, a flood broke roads and left a large number of locals without light. All the surrounding routes became impassable. Thus, all the lights of Brown Mountain continued to dance in the distance. There was no longer a way to explain them, so they returned to their place of privilege. As the main attraction, the popular folklore of the Native Americans says that a bloody battle took place on the mountain between the Cherokee and Catawba tribes, in which many lives were lost. According to legend, those lights could be the ghosts of some warriors, or the spirits of the women who are still searching for those who could not be buried, although scientists have not been able to determine what causes the hypnotic lights. Ball lightning or the natural gases from the mountains are the theories most put forward by those who do not believe in energies, specters, and flying saucers. What is the true origin of this amazing phenomenon in the Appalachians that continues to amaze visitors? Could the lights be linked to the mysterious giant stone and the mysterious moon-eyed people? Could they also be linked to the incident that occurred in the summer of 1952? Get ready, because the Appalachians were also the center of one of the most bizarre cases in recent times. The Flatwoods case is perhaps one of the most exceptional events in the unidentified flying object universe. It was September of 1952 when two brothers from West Virginia looked up at the sky and saw something that left them stunned. A huge light was crossing the sky at full speed, but not only that. They could guess by its trajectory that the object had landed or crashed on a nearby farm. The children immediately forgot any game they had been playing until that moment and dashed off in search of an adult to tell them about that thing that had left its trail among the clouds. The boy's mother first thought that the others were exaggerating. She suggested they likely saw a plane, but this explanation only made her children more furious. They were convinced that they had seen something very different from any known aircraft to date. They insisted so much that the woman's mocking smile gradually began to fade until she ended up agreeing to take a trip to the nearby farm. Other neighborhood kids joined the journey. When they arrived at the place, it was already getting dark, and it was among the shadows that they saw something unconventional. According to them, it was a flying saucer surrounded by a thick, almost phosphorescent fog, which quickly made their noses itch. And that was just the beginning, because from the ship emerged a being that is known today as the Flatwoods Monster. I directly quote the statement given by a witness who is 17 years old. After pointing the flashlight at it, we saw a 10-foot-tall monster, with a face as red as blood and a green body that seemed to glow. The strange creature floated towards the curious, who did not hesitate to run away in terror. An hour later, several shotgun-armed men went to the location. They encountered a horrible smell and, according to local reports, witnessed slight heat waves in the air, but not much more. While they say they couldn't rescue any concrete evidence, it would later be discovered that a mysterious hermetically sealed box was sent to Washington District of Columbia. What was in the box? Impossible to know. The next morning, the strange event was already being discussed in all the local newspapers, which claimed that several of the group who saw the creature fainted and vomited for hours. This information was corroborated when the hospital reports were checked. Indeed, some of the boys who saw the so-called Flatwoods Monster described that the mist surrounding it produced an intense burning in the throat and eyes. Many of the effects of that mist resemble, as some researchers discovered, what the mythical mustard gas produces, the toxic chemical agent that was used as a weapon in the World Wars. This led to the belief that perhaps the Flatwoods Monster was nothing more than a secret plane with lethal weapons and pilots wearing special suits. Could it be that the children and the woman saw something they weren't supposed to see and that's why they discredited their stories? Or did they discover that something anomalous had settled in the Appalachians? Among the official versions, there is a high consensus that on that night, the terrified protagonists of the story would have suffered a bout of hysteria, and they confused a huge owl with bright eyes for something else. This explanation has always outraged those who reported the supposed monster. Today, on the main road leading to the city, there is a sign that says "Welcome to Flatwoods, home of the Green Monster." There is even an annual festival in the town called Monster Day, which takes place at the edge of the forest. No one wants to venture into the thick forest just to be safe. On the other hand, some have speculated about the possibility of the Flatwoods Monster. It was just an early sighting of another typical Appalachian monster. We're talking about the legendary Mothman, the Man. November the 12th, 1966. In West Virginia, a small town of a few thousand inhabitants was shaken by a rather singular news. The gravediggers of a cemetery spread the word that they had seen a humanoid figure in a tree. After a while of remaining motionless, the figure had unfolded what appeared to be huge wings and had ventured into the forest. The winged man appeared 8 kilometers away a few days later. More precisely, it was an abandoned World War II trinitrotoluene plant. There he was seen by 2 young couples who described him as a large flying man with 3-meter wings and eyes that glowed red. After this sighting, they drove at full speed, startled by fear. Their fear surged upon realizing the creature pursued them, matching their fleeing speed of 160 kilometers per hour. After a short chase, the entity turned and vanished into the mist. The police filed a report but didn't take it seriously. The following day, newspapers discussed the mysterious Mothman. Over the next month, more than a dozen similar sightings were reported. The most popular of these testimonies was made by the local firefighters, who were shocked to encounter the creature while on a routine patrol. The police issued an official statement arguing that all they were seeing was nothing more than a Canadian crane that had strayed from its migratory route. Normal. However, subsequent investigations determined that every time the Mothman appeared, a tragedy happened near collapsing bridges, fires, and other calamities. That's why today it is believed that the presence of this being is a bad omen. The Mothman is also associated with other phenomena in addition to the equation. When it appears, unidentified flying object sightings multiply, and the presence of strange men in black becomes common. At least this is what they say in the museum that exists today about this monster in Point Pleasant. Over time, it was discovered that the Mothman made appearances in other parts of the map and also in other parts of the world. However, a pattern always repeats: the proximity of conflict zones to forests. Could it be not one, but many creatures that hide among the trees to from time to time venture into the city? Does the presence of the Mothman explain what some see or believe to hear when they venture into the Appalachians? Could the Mothman have been connected with a town that is in the vicinity of the Appalachians and is considered the most haunted town in the United States? And that's how our story comes back to the beginning. Mystery of Dudley Town, Connecticut is infamous. Today it is surrounded by signs prohibiting the passage of the curious, but still, there are those who dare to cross those chains and wire fences. Admittedly, the matter is tempting. Especially when you consider that Dudley Town is considered not only a ghost town, but a thoroughly cursed town. This site was founded on the slopes of the Appalachian Mountains, more precisely in an area known as Dark Entry Forest. The town was built in the early 18th century by settlers, mostly members of the Dudley family. The idea was to manage an agricultural settlement. However, Dudley Town's foundation kickstarted a legend that continues to captivate the world. Some believe the Dudley family was cursed even prior to their arrival in the United States. A widely spread story tells that Edmund Dudley, patriarch of the clan, would have betrayed King Henry VII by conspiring against him. After being discovered, he had been banished, and members of the court with knowledge in dark arts would have cast a spell on him intended to rot the roots of his family tree. No later studies could directly link this family to Henry VII. This does not remove the fact that tragedy has befallen Dudley Town and its inhabitants, one of the first families to settle there. The Carters can attest to this. 12 of their members died of cholera, and the survivors were killed in a confusing episode. This was not an isolated case, but rather the tip of the iceberg. In 1804, General Herman Swift lost his wife Sarah after she was struck by lightning. After the fall of this fatal lightning, Herman went mad and plunged into a terrible sadness. They say those years were really dark for everyone. In Dudley Town, accidents were abundant and many residents began to disappear. Some were seen venturing into the forest at night in a kind of trance. What was luring them from the darkness? What were they hearing? Why were they going into a place they were never going to come out of again? With these disappearances, word began to spread that the Appalachian Mountains were dangerous and that one should not trust what was seen there. People began to talk about witches, shapeshifters, and all kinds of creatures that used vile tricks to take the most desperate into the deepest wilderness. The idea that something supernatural was stalking them became increasingly prevalent among the villagers, and madness became the norm. Day by day, someone lost their sanity, and slowly but surely an entire village fell into ruin. As if this wasn't enough, an unexpected and poorly documented epidemic wiped out many of the residents who had not yet been struck by other misfortunes. By the early 1900s, many had taken their own lives in their own homes or in the common and public places of the town, which were increasingly decimated. Rumors had crossed their borders, and neighboring communities refused to pass through there for fear of what might emerge from the forest. It is said that the last inhabitant of Dudley Town eventually succumbed to the dark forces and one day also ventured into the trees, closing the story of this village that could never experience anything resembling prosperity. Officially, it is believed that the reason why the inhabitants of Dudley Town abandoned the place was due to the poor quality of the land. As for the outbreaks of dementia and stories of strange monsters, the most skeptical have mentioned the possibility that the town's residents were poisoned with high concentration lead water, which would explain the reason for their erratic behavior. New theories also suggest that the Dudleys did not betray King Henry VII but rather stole a cursed artifact, more precisely a book capable of opening the gates of hell. It is believed that the misuse of that grimoire would have tied Dudley Town to an unprecedented torment, apart from having filled the Appalachian mountains with terrifying creatures. Is it in the history of this ghost town, which was even visited by the Warrens, the genesis of what happens in the Appalachian Mountains? Does everything connect with everything in this story? Open! Whatever we want to believe, it's undeniable that something is happening in the Appalachian Mountains. Could it be that they seduce the imagination because of their character as a place that is not easily accessible? Could it be that these stories are only there to warn the younger ones about the risks of nature? Or could there be some truth to what is being told? Many believe that the area is rich in myths because members of different cultures settled in it. The reason why oral narratives are still so prevalent today would be found in the conjunction of these folklores. For those who live near the mountains, hidden civilizations, extraterrestrials living beneath the earth, ancestral creatures with a hunger for human blood. Evil demons, what's in the Appalachian Mountains? Why do testimonies that increasingly enhance the legend of the haunted place keep appearing? It remains to be clarified that a huge number of stories about hybrid sorcerers between humans and animals were left out of this report, and other beings capable of even imitating cries for help to attract the most innocent to their jaws. What do you think? What conclusion do you draw from this? Would you dare to live in a landscape of these characteristics? While you think about it, and as we promised, we are going to share several TikToks from users who were in the area and who saw things, heard things, recorded things. If you don't want to see the following content, you can stop watching now. If you're interested, keep watching since you've already seen it. Maybe on TikTok or whatever, or you want to remember them, we are going to proceed with this. Remember that if you want more videos of this style about haunted places and things like that, write the word curse below. With nothing more to say, I bid farewell. I am Magnus Mephisto, leaving you with these videos.
The Appalachian Mountains during the night. He was home alone one night when he saw this. TikTok user Dustin Frecker lives in the Appalachian Mountains in Tennessee. When something or someone started visiting him late at night, a voice asked him for help. It's back. A chilling voice can be heard begging him to open the door, but he's too scared to open and decides to look at the security camera. And he sees this? Something disturbing can be seen with what appear to be long limbs crawling in his driveway. Could it be a skinwalker?
You hear?
Is it knocking on the door? They're saying your name, and it's a familiar voice, but oh, surprise! You're completely alone. But who could it be?
Gabriel? Is Gabriel your mom? Should you go out? Have you been there a long time? Gabriel? Get out of there! Gabriel, it's your mom. You should get out. So what's your name?
Terrifying, isn't it? Well, this takes place in the Appalachian Mountains, in this little place, where unexplainable things can happen, so paranormal and so normal for those who live there day by day.